All right, we've made our palettes, we've patched our show, and now it's time to actually build the show. We've been doing this for about, an hour and a half? And now it's about time that the clients are coming in and your head carpenter is probably yelling at you, saying, where the fuck are the looks? Where the fuck are your cues? And now it's actually time for you to actually do it. But don't worry, because us doing all that in preparation makes it a lot faster for us to program this thing. But before we get into really the programming, I do just want to point out a couple things. Of course, if you're not writing this stuff down on your phone or on a notepad, definitely recommend doing that. That's just going to make it a lot easier for you to reference stuff. But if you don't like doing that and you just like pressing buttons, direct selects are going to be your friend. Direct selects are what they sound like. They're just little buttons that you click on and say, oh, look, there's all my groups right there. Where are my focus palettes? Oh, yay, they're on my focus palette. So you can just set up a screen there where you can click on these in order to usually get them. I have a separate little device here that has all my direct selects into it, so I don't really need to set those up right now. But I love direct selects, and they are very nice. If you're used to using something like Grand MA, that's definitely going to be up your alley. You're going to love direct selects. Also, if you use Grand MA, you're going to be aware of magic sheets. I can't remember exactly what they're called on Grand MA right now, but very similar. What are they called? Like workspaces? I think that might be right. Creating a magic sheet. If you're familiar with line design, if you're a line designer, you know how to make magic sheets. They're going to look a lot different than this, but it's kind of the same principle where a magic sheet is used so that you can reference things as quickly as possible with as little space as possible. But for our purposes, what we can do here is we can actually select all these different symbols and make it whatever we want. Say, whatever, I click over here, where are my lusters? Great. Hey, that's a source for LED. All right, so if I make this, and then what am I going to do? Sure, I can say that, and then I can do whatever, Command C, Command V, and I can select the two of them, Command C, Command V, select the four of them, Command C, Command V, Command V. Great. So that's looking like 4 electrics right there, 3 electrics right there, both sides. Obviously, you can turn them however you like. So I can do like this, maybe spread them out a little bit better. But you get the idea, just kind of creating magic sheets so that you can quickly understand and read your plot. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Don't grab that. Grab those, make them look like that. So yeah, making this stuff, it's very nice. So you just made a bunch of symbols, and now I want to actually put down which ones they are. I'm going to say, let's read number, select. I'm going to put channel. I'm going to start this at 1, increment by 1. And I can't remember exactly how I had it laid out. I think it was something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sure, it's kind of like that, right? And I select that, and then you can actually, if you go out of blind into live here, you select those two. Look, those guys came up. Hey, I was correct. Who would have guessed? And then if I select these guys come up. Lovely. So using direct selects, using magic sheets can definitely help you if you have the time. I think direct selects are a little bit faster if you're trying to do this in a rush. But definitely write things down. That's going to help you a lot. If you do have the time, you can make some magic sheets, just depending on your skill set and how comfortable you feel like with using those things. Anyways, so now we actually have to build the cue list, of course. Another way to navigate the board, instead of just clicking on the palettes, clicking on the tabs here or opening up new tabs, is you can actually hold down the tab key. You can see a little red thing there that says tab. If it's right next to your select last, right on the right-hand side of your board. If you hold down tab and then select the number, so I want to say tab 2, it's going to take me to tab 2. If I hit tab 1, it's going to take me to tab 1. After I depress tab button, then it's going to take me there. If I just keep on typing whatever, it's going to be like, take me to whatever. But anyways, I'm going to tab 2. We can see here we have our list 1 up there. Now I need to actually record things, which is my favorite part. So I'm just going to delete Q1 because I made that out of necessity. Q does not exist, yeah. What? delete Q1. There we are. All right, so now let's start building some stuff. So we've created some palettes here that's going to make things a lot faster. Here, so we're going to do a walk-in look. Here's the first thing I'll do, is I will probably grab my wash sides. I'm going to turn those on. I'm going to open them up a bit. And now I'm going to make them like a nice kind of like lavender color. And now I'm going to select them and kind of point them in. Let's see here. That guy's kind of pointing like that. This guy's going to point like this. You got to get the idea of what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to just wash out the stage a little bit. Yep. See, I'm adjusting the pan first, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select last, and that's going to select all of them. Now I'm just going to tilt them up a bit. So now it's kind of hitting the stage, downstage area. Maybe I can even widen them up just a little bit more. Great, so that's looking pretty good. Let's say I want a little extra color on stage. Let's grab my groups here. I'm going to grab my high sides, and I'm just going to just roll the intensity up just a little bit. Great, that's looking good. Maybe make those into a red. All right, sure, that's a walk-in look. So now I'm going to record Q. Next, this is going to record Q1. Label this as walk-in. All right, that's looking pretty good. So we got our walk-in look. You definitely want to record some house light cues if the venue doesn't already have it. I find that a lot of the venues that are smaller, that aren't used as frequently, such as a Bravenel Hall or maybe like Mid Valley, those venues that I've worked in, they don't have made house light cues. So what I had to do is I had to make my own. And basically what that can look like is just me grabbing all the house lights from a fader that they've had, and then just recording 3 different cues: one house full, house half, and then house out. While leaving with the house out, leaving like aisle lights up so that people can walk in and not trip on themselves. So you may have to find yourself doing those. And what I will say is important about those is that you want to make sure that with the lights fading in and out, that they're nice and smooth. And they're going to use different types of fixture types. They're going to use LEDs, they're going to use dimmers, but typically it's mostly going to be like dimmers. But some lights dim better than others. Like park cans are going to dim very nicely, but say that some like balconies have what are they called? They're just like LED strips on them, and sometimes those don't fade very well. And so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to add discrete timing. I'm going to do a little example of that real quick. So let's get out of this, and I'm just going to go to lever. Let's make Q2/1. Actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the high sides as an example of this. So I'm going to have my high sides. I'm going to record Q2/1. All right. And now I want to go to house to half. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select last. I'm actually going to update this, and I'm going to make the first 4 into a green color, so it's easy to kind of differentiate it. There we go. Actually, I'm going to make the rest of them, what are they? 5 through 12. I'm going to make these guys red. All right, I know it looks really ugly. Anyways, update Q. All right, I updated that. All right, so now we're going to select all of them. Select last, no, select active. And now I'm going to, these are going to go to half, whatever, like a 50 or so. And now I'm going to record Q, next, enter. And I'm going to say that the green ones are like my LED strips, and they don't dim very well. Maybe they're like strobing a little bit as they go down. And so you want them to go down a little bit faster than this duration here, the 5 count. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something called discrete timing. And I know I'm throwing a lot at you very fast, but that's just because I had this in my mind and I want to get this out really quickly. 1 through 4 here is I'm going to grab these guys, and I'm going to say 1 through 4, time 2 seconds. Do that, update. Great. And you can see here on your PSD, there's a little plus there. Plus next to the intensity means that there is discrete timing. That means that these guys are going to go down much faster than the other ones. So now if I hit shift back, no, go to Q2/1. There we go. We're in Q2/1. And now if I click next one, those green ones went down a lot faster than the red ones. No, actually. All right, my apologies. You realize what just happened there is I hit go and then it started loading in my other queue list. I am loading 2/1 to my master fader pair. What I did to do that is I just did Q2/1, and then on the top of my master fader pair above your go and back is the load button, or it'll say master on the console. Click on that. That means it's going to load it. You can see that it's queued up here, right here, saying the next one you're going to go to is 2/1. Great. So now it's saying it's queue list 2. One that's going right now is 1. The one that goes next is 2. All right. To actually show you the real example, even though that did lead to a good lesson there. So I'm going to click next, and you can see the green goes down way faster than the red. All right. So that's discrete timing in a nutshell. Anyways, going back to what we're doing, because our head carpenter is very upset that we're taking forever, is I'm going to delete this queue list. Q2/, great. All right. Anyways, back to this. Now I'm going to go back to 2, go to Q1. All right. Here we are. All right. Now we got all that settled. And now I'm going to go into a blackout. So I am going to select active. And now I'm going to put those at min. And now I'm going to record queue next. Label this as blackout. Great. All right. We got that all settled. And now what we're going to do, let's say that the client wants a ballyhoo for the walk-in. Let's just imagine that this is a comedian setup. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do, let's see here. Let's grab some groups. I'm going to grab some titaniums. I'm going to grab those. I'm going to take those out full. I'm going to point them downstage, and then I'm going to find an effect here. And we do have some effects baked in. I'm not going to go into how to build effects right now, just because that actually, you know what, screw it. We'll make an effect. All right, let's do one. I'm going to call it a focus effect. And so now you can see that this is kind of the area which is going to go in. I'm going to click to edit it, click on patterns, and now I'm going to find like a ballyhoo, whatever. This infinity looks pretty good. So now I'm going to apply that, and that's going to be the shape that the lights are going to be tilting in. You can see the parameters of this effect are pan and tilt. I know I'm going really fast with this, but if you want to learn more about effects, this is not the place to do it right now. Maybe I'll do another video in the future that goes into more deep into this. Anyways, I don't want to call this a circle. I want to call it a bally. So that's what I'm going to call it. There is a built-in bally in here. How does that look? Does that kind of look like mine? It does not look like mine. It's all right. Mine will look better. Cool. All right, so that's my effect. I built that effect. All right, so now I'm going to select last. I'm going to find these guys, and I'm going to call this effect 1. So now they're kind of going crazy. Maybe I don't want them to go that crazy. That's a bit much. So I'm going to go back into my effects. I'm going to call this scale maybe like 25. Then go back into this. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. So we can call it that. I can either edit the effect itself, or I can edit it in the for whatever's going on. If I hit effect, you can see I can do a discrete effects. So I can adjust the rate, I can adjust the size within the manual data itself, or inside the queue itself, without affecting the effect as a whole. All right, so that's a good bally. I'm going to record this as queue next, and I'm going to call this bally walk-in. Oh yeah, I know. Sorry. Record queue next. It had effect at the beginning of it, of course. Bally walk-in. Lovely. All right, so if I go to tab 2, here's what we got so far. All right, I have my walk-in. No, why is that still there? That's because I have weird manual data in there. I'm going to go to that. Queue list 1. All right, there's that. So that looks good. If I don't want to watch all the durations and everything, I can hit the shift key. If I hold that down and then go next, if I go and then back, it just negates all the duration, so you don't have to worry about that. Makes it very fast for doing that. All right, so we got a nice little walk-in look, and then we have a blackout, and then we have a Bally. And with that Bally, we're also going to bring some light up. So I'm going to bring in my high sides, and I'm going to make those. So those are still red. Because we're in tracking mode, it is saving everything that I've done in the past and keeping it at that same data until it is changed in the future. If I was in queue only mode, this would make it go back to its home color once I tell it to go out. So I'll show you what that looks like in just one moment. But for intents and purposes here, I'm going to hit color, and I'm going to home all the color. That's not right. Go back here, home. There we are. Nice little white, and then I'm also going to grab, what are they? Groups. I'm going to grab my washes. I'm going to make those full. Maybe not full, maybe at like 50, so I can go maybe 20. Let's call it half, 50. Sorry. All right. I'm focusing too much on this stupid show that doesn't even exist. All right. I'm just going to point those downstage. I'm going to make those big, and I'm going to make that color maybe like a, I don't know, maybe a yellow? No, yellow looks bad. All right, blue. Sure. Blue looks good. All right, and so now I'm going to record this as Q next, and then I'm going to say that that label is enter. All right, so I like that. I'm actually going to make that time 2 seconds because I want that to come up a little bit faster. And what I'm actually going to do is I am going to create a follow effect. So I want this to follow. I don't want to hit the space bar. I don't want to hit the go button twice for that to happen. I want that always to happen in sequence. So I'm going to go into Q4 here. I'm going to hit, what is it? So if I do Q4, if I hit soft key 2, which is follow or hang, hang means that it stays in that queue and then goes into the next queue. Forward means that after this duration, it'll go into the next queue. So as an example here, I'm going to say follow 2 seconds. And so if I go into this, and if I click this, after 2 seconds, even while that is going up, it's going to start the next queue. But if I change that into hang, so if I hit Q4, if I hit that button twice, soft key twice, it's going to change it to hang, and I'm going to say hang 2 seconds. So if I go into this, it's going to do the full duration, hold it for 2 seconds, and then go into the next queue. Great. So sure, let's say that we like that. We're going to do a hang instead of a follow. All right, so that's what considers this an auto follow queue. You can see that there's a little arrow in front of it to say that you don't need to press the go button on this, that it's already waiting to go. So don't need to worry about that. All right, and so now we got that all set up, and now I'm going to say that the next thing I want is I want these guys to go out because they are annoying me. So titanium's 2. I'm going to click my stop effect, and now I'm going to tell those to go out. And now I'm actually going to bring up my Lone Stars, bring those at full. Going to tilt those up just a little bit, and I'm going to open them up. Sure. Now we got a nice stage wash, kind of bright. Let's turn that down a bit. Nice. So now we're going to say record queue, next, label this as whatever. Let's say person set. So that's their set list. All right. So just to review, here we are. We got our walk-in look here. It's looking nice. We got a blackout. Ballyhoo walk-in. Lights start going crazy. Audience starts going crazy. Wow, wow, wow. And then we got some light coming in as they're walking on stage. Whoa, I can't believe it. So it's him. That's crazy. And now everything kind of settles in. Those lights are going to kind of go away. and then we got some key light on them, and then the show goes on. Wonderful. Now let's say that we want to, let's say that I want to change a couple things without everything else changing. So I'm actually going to go into my settings here, and I'm going to change my cue settings. Let's see here. I want to do, where's tracking mode? Not tracking mode. Yep. All right. Now I'm going to go to cue only mode, because the changes I want to make, I just want to make it in cue only, and I'm going to do a bunch of them. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit tab 2, and I'm going to take this PSD up. Not the PSD. This is the what's it called? I can't remember the name of this thing right now. You can either hit the diamond there, or you can hit the display button twice, and that'll make that go back down. I want to go back to my Bally, and I want to add an effect, not an effect. I'm going to make them select active, and I'm going to make them green. Okay. Now if I hit update, so now they're green. But if I go into the next cue, they're white again. Nice. So if I did actually go back, and I'm going to say that I actually want these guys to be select active, I want them to be red. So now if I say update tracking, tracking is right above, you can see cue only or track right above your enter key. So without changing modes, I can just say that for this specific cue, I want it to update it this way. So I hit update track, and then I go into the next cue. What? That should have made them red. Is there something in here that's telling them to not do that? If I go into blind, which ones are these? These guys. Color intensity. Interesting. Yeah, for some reason it's saying that it changes here, but I did not tell it to do that. Anyways, let's try it if I can get you a better example of how that works. System settings, actually user settings, going to change that back to tracking mode. Go back into here, get rid of my display. We're going to go to cue out for a second. Ugh. I want to go to cue out, please. Thank you. All right, if I go back into tab 2, I'm going to load this cue. I'm going to load this cue. And yes, I want these guys. I want my washes to actually, I don't like them in blue. I want them to be a different color. So I'm going to hit groups. I'm going to find wash LX2, wash LX3. I'm going to grab those, and I'm going to say I want those to be, sure, like this reddish pinkish. And now I'm going to hit update, enter. So now the next cue, yeah, so if I go into the next cue, they're going to stay and they're going to be that same pink. So without me having to go into each individual cue and update the color of them, I just want it to stay that color the entire time. That's what tracking is. All right. I don't know what was going on before. I don't know why the data was set to manual on both of them, but anyways, you get that example. You can understand what tracking is and what cue only is. Great. And so now to kind of round us out here, we want a walkout look. I really like the way that Bally looked. I really like the way that this looked. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to say copy to, if I go to this cue, Q5, copy to Q7. Great. And I'm actually, yeah, I got that there. And now I'm going to say this Bally out. So now if I go to Q6 and then I hit go, there we go. Without me having to build that whole thing again, I really like the way that cue looked. I just copied it over and there it is. Nice. And now I like the Bally out. And now I'm actually going to take my walk in. I don't have to go into the queue to do that. I can say Q1 copy to Q10. Great. So now that I'm in my Q7, I can go into this, and now it's just going to nicely fade into my walkout look. All right. Is there anything else I want to cover here? Not quite too sure. Another thing that you can do is you can build your subs, and the subs are another way of running it if you don't want to use a complete queue list. Sometimes you're going to run into shows where things are not so linear. Sometimes they won't come to you with a queue list. They're just going to say they want looks at certain points, and they may have a stage manager, or you may just be watching the show trying to figure out when they want things to happen. In that case, I do recommend using submasters and creating looks that way. I might create a separate video later going into submasters because that is a little bit more complicated in the way you can set those up. But I hope that this can kind of set you up for success. So you know how to build your queues, you know how to update your queues, you know how to use... Did I even use any of my palettes for them? No, I don't think I used any palettes here. Let's do that really quickly so I can actually show you why I did it. I just got too invested in this little show that I was building here. Whatever. For this queue, I'm actually going to grab my groups. I'm going to grab my, what were they? 2LX Lone Stars, Intensity palette, Full, Focus palette, Center, whatever. I can even use my preset. There we go. I liked that. There we go. That's a little added. That looks nice. So I can update that. Isn't that lovely? It looks a little crazy because these were also being used for the Bally, but hey, there we go. Anyways, I think that's all I'm really going to go into today. You can see the power of using your palettes, especially if you have a nice show file already set up. It can save you a lot of programming time to use that. I just got so invested in creating this show that I was doing everything manually. But you may find yourself doing that at first if you're not used to doing all that stuff. Just going into your ML controls, changing everything up manually. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for me today. If you do have any questions or other things you want me to cover in the future, please let me know. Always remember to save copies of your show files on separate drives. I always have a rule where you want to save things. You want 3 separate saves. You want one on the board, one on a thumb drive, and one in the cloud, meaning like a Google Drive or something like that. Just to cover your bases, especially if you're doing pretty high profile shows. You want to make sure that you have a safe file and nothing is going to get messed with, and no files are going to get corrupted. Anyways, all right. I already said it's the end of me for like 3 times now, but it really is now. All right. Thanks very much, and good luck.